Iceland, the land of 10,000 waterfalls. At least it feels like that, right? I mean, seriously, it feels like there's a new waterfall around every corner. With so many breathtaking waterfalls around the country, it's really hard to try and narrow down a top 10 list, much less a top 5 list. But I've done my best, and I've chosen the 5 that I love the most. And make sure to watch till the end because I've saved my favorite for last. By the way, my name is Jeannie and I'm an Iceland travel expert. I'm personally obsessed with waterfalls, so I've made it my mission to travel all around the country and share my knowledge with you. Let's get into it. The first waterfall is called Hangafos, and this stunning waterfall drops 128 meters or 420 feet. So it's one of the tallest waterfalls in the country. It's located in East Iceland. And so what I love about it the most is the hike that it takes to get there, as well as how secluded it is. Not many people travel all the way to the east side of the country, much less get out of their car and hike at least an hour to get to a site. So you know, if you are gonna tackle this waterfall hike, you're gonna have to work for it. But I promise it will be worth it. After the hike up, you reach the waterfall, which is surrounded by black and red lava. It's absolutely gorgeous, and like I said, so quiet and secluded. It's definitely worth the time that it takes to get there. The next top waterfall in Iceland is called Bragifoss. And this is relatively somewhat of a hidden gem. It used to be very hidden until Instagram got a hold of it, but it's actually located along the Golden Circle in Iceland. So you drive right by it unless you know it's there. What I love about it is quite obvious: the bright blue water. The contrast of the black lava rock against the bright blue water is simply breathtaking. I mean, it's so unique in that maybe the Gatorade company sources from this waterfall, right? I mean, it's so blue. And like Hangafos, Bragifoss takes a while to get to. It's located quite a ways off the main road, so you do have to hike to it. It's going to take at least an hour one way. But again, in my opinion, it's one of those things that's more than worth it for these views. Now, if you are someone who wants to know more than just what are the things to see in Iceland and you want to learn how to pull it all together, then click the link in my description box to grab my guidebooks and maps. They will teach you the exact locations of the main sites, as well as Jeannie's gems, insider tips that only a local would know, and everything you need to plan your trip from start to finish. Now let's move on to the next waterfall. The next waterfall that you must see is Detifoss. Now this one doesn't have a high drop, but what it lacks in height, it actually makes up for in volume. This waterfall is named the most powerful waterfall in Europe because of the volume that it produces. So it's only a 44 meter or 144 foot drop. You can actually feel like the thunderous roar coming from the falls. It's really cool. This waterfall is located in North Iceland. What I love about it is that it is so grandiose. Other really unique thing that I love about Detifoss is that you can access it from both the east and the west side. Both give you a totally different perspective. The west side is more popular and more common to get to because the road to get there is paved. The east side road is horrific. It's full of potholes and really difficult to access. But the difference is on the west side, the more common side, they have viewing platforms and it's really easy to get around, but you don't get as close to the falls. You're kind of viewing it from the side perspective. On the east side, which is more challenging to get to, and by the way, sometimes actually impassable in the winter months because they don't clear the snow. But the east side, you can walk down and get very close to the falls. In fact, it feels sometimes dangerously close, but it is such a unique perspective. But you have to make the decision based on when you're coming and which side you would want to access. The next waterfall is one you've probably heard of, and that is Skegafoss. This waterfall is located along the south coast of Iceland and is definitely one of the most visited waterfalls in the entire country. It falls 60 meters or 197 feet, and it's just this nice veil of waterfalls that comes over a cliff. You just have to see it. My personal favorite thing about Skegafoss is actually the water behind Skegafoss. So this is lovingly referred to as Waterfall Way and is the beginning of the Fimmvörðuháls hike, which is a whole topic for another day. But you can access Waterfall Way by taking the stairs up to the top of the falls and then continuing on the path. So there are actually 26 more waterfalls behind Skegafoss. You might not always be able to get to all of them, and actually to go all the way through the 26 and back would take a really long time. And there are parts where it gets really challenging, so I don't suggest that just anyone does this willy-nilly, but it is worth noting that you can keep walking a bit and you'll come to a few different unique waterfalls that are super beautiful and out in the middle of nowhere. Now, the next must-see waterfall in Iceland, and my personal favorite, is called Yandy. This waterfall is located in the Westfjords, so definitely off the beaten path. Not a lot of people are tackling this region because it is so far away from all the main sites, but in my opinion, that makes it even more worth the journey. What I love about Yandy is that it's actually 7 waterfalls in one. I mean, my waterfall loving heart is such a sucker for bonus waterfalls. I'll take it any day. From the parking lot of Yandy, you start walking towards the main falls, which is like a veil that comes over the cliff. And along the way up, you actually come across 6 other waterfalls before the main one. It's just incredible. Yandy also is one of those falls that's better when you get closer to it. And so you do have to take the hike all the way to the top of the stairs to make sure that you can stand right in front of it and feel how big it is. It's a big waterfall. Remember, if you're trying to tackle the Westfjords, it's really only accessible from about May through October. And other than that, the roads to get there are really challenging. They get a lot of snow up there and the roads aren't always serviced well, so make sure to plan your trip accordingly. So now that you've learned the top 5 waterfalls in Iceland, the next thing you need to learn is how to plan for each season. So make sure to watch these videos where I tell you everything you need to know about each month, including the weather, daylight hours, driving tips, and so much more. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, happy planning.